What's up, beautiful people of the internet? Welcome to Let's Hash It, episode number 8 for the week of March 17th, 2016. I am your host, Jay Lewis, and joining me today is my amazing co-host, Nathan Hodge. What's going on, Nathan?
How's it going, Jay?
It's
Top of the
going...
morning to you.
Yes. A very dreary morning over on my side, though it does look like the sun is starting to want to peek out. Here on this special day, do you realize what today is?
Yeah, I meant to say top of the morning in kind of an Irish accent, and I kind of like blew it there. So
So
let
that
me
is...
try one more time. Top of the morning to you there, Jay. I should shy.
Oh, well, you got it right on the money there that time, didn't you?
All right.
Yeah, much better that second attempt. Yes, everybody, it is St. Patty's Day. Nate, you're not Irish, are you?
A little bit.
Oh, are you?
Got a little Irish in there somewhere.
Well, I'm Scottish, which, let's face it, it's about the same freaking thing, you know? They're both heavy drinkers, and I plan on indulging in some of that drink myself today. I might even have some Jameson Irish whiskey. So yeah, let's get into the show. We got a lot of VR news today, so we're going to go ahead and start there. So, first and foremost, we have a price and a release date for the PlayStation VR. So, well, I don't want to say a release date, but we have a release window rather. So, it will retail for $399.99 and it will be available this October. So, Nate, what are your thoughts on the price?
Really, I think it's going to be a little too expensive at launch to be a huge success, but this will pave the way for, to mass commercialization of this product. So I don't see a whole lot of early adopters, but it's reasonably priced enough that it'll get people to, it'll get it into people's hands, and people will show their friends, and I believe it'll start the snowball effect into making VR a little bit more mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of concerns people had once they start seeing, the price of the Oculus Rift and the Vive and, other VR headsets, they were coming in at like $800. So, the big question here was, what was the PlayStation VR going to cost? And, everyone at first was thinking, oh, this thing's going to come out and be like, $299 or $250 or something like that. But then when they started seeing the other ones come out, they're like, oh, this thing's going to be a lot more expensive than we anticipated. So people started thinking around like, $500-$600. But no, it looks like PlayStation's figured out a way to pack all that technology into a nice $400 price point. And, for me, somebody who plans on buying it day one, who's also trying to save for a house at the moment, you know what I mean? This is good news for my wallet. Sure, $400 is not cheap. I'm not saying that it's cheap, but considering what other units are costing, like, I'm okay. I can swallow that $400, and I was pretty happy with the price. Now, what do you think about it coming out in October? At first people were speculating that it was going to come out this summer, but it looks like it's coming out in October. So what do you think about that?
It probably has a lot to do with them just getting good games programmed for the thing. I mean, I'm sure this is not easy to program for. I don't know all the details that go into getting a game to work with VR, but I'm sure it's not easy. So if they got to take their time and make sure the games are working right on there, I'm fine by that. But it's not coming with all the necessary items though, right? Because you guys need the Eye and the PlayStation Move for it to work as well. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so we'll get right into that then. Inside the box, you'll be getting the actual headset itself, and you'll be receiving some like headphones, I believe. Yeah, it comes with headphones as well. So yeah, what it doesn't come with is the PlayStation Eye, which For those who are not aware what that is the PlayStation camera that hooks directly into the PlayStation 4 and it lets you broadcast your gameplay. So it looks like we'll have another use for the camera. It is a bummer for those that don't already have the PlayStation camera because that'll be an additional purchase that they have to make in order to, get into the VR stuff. I think the camera is currently retailing at $60, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you can tack that $60 onto the 400. So now we're looking at 460, and then finally you're going to need a new controller to work with the VR, which is PlayStation Move. And basically, what that is, anyone that's ever used a Wii before, it's basically the same concept. If we were talking about the Wii, you got your nunchuck, and then you got what was the other thing called?
The nunchuck was the attachment to the Wii U controller, the the motion sensor stick thing.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, it's just you're holding one like thing in your hand. Think of like almost holding like a relic, but like the tip of it is this round ball that lights up different colors. And basically, what that's doing is it's communicating with the headset and it's telling the headset where your hands are actually located. It uses those different colors, to kind of find your hands in a 3D space. And then the controller in your right hand will be how you move around and navigate through the world. So, it's going to have your thumbsticks and it's going to allow you to move your character around. So I think those are packaged together. I bought a Move in the past, back in the PS3 era, and I want to say to get both of them, I think it's going to probably set you back around $50. So, in other words, you can tack on about another $100 to the VR if you don't already have those items. So, then yeah, it's going to cost you $500 to get into the VR world on PlayStation. So, I'm guessing that's deterring you even further.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to be an early adopter of this tech. I will come over to your house and try yours though.
Yes, we'll be definitely doing a whole show, giving our impressions on that, but that's not till October. I'm guessing the same as you, I suppose. PlayStation has, tweeted out that they just needed more time for development on the games, and like you were saying, when you're developing games, now you have all this new stuff to factor in, so yeah, the development times is going to take longer than a typical game. But I also wonder if it's so they can, get into that holiday rush and, generate a little bit of hype right before Black Friday. So, you give it that month and a half of, word of mouth. So, people that do own the thing, they're probably going to be raving about it. So, that'll be some free advertisement for PlayStation. So, yeah, this October. Now, second bit of news directly related to VR is Star Wars Battlefront has announced that it's going to have its own exclusive VR experience coming to the PlayStation VR. Now, what's your thoughts on that, Nate? I mean, I kind of know where you stand in terms of, you know, not wanting to purchase it, but let's talk about, does a game like that sound interesting to you? It's proof that there will be some AAA stuff coming out to the VR, so
Now, this is pretty interesting, but my concern is that will we still be able to use the regular PlayStation 4 controller, or will we have to use the Move controller to play Star Wars Battlefront in VR? Because that might make things complicated, and it seems like, some of these, speaking of which,
And I
the
was gonna
Star
say,
Wars thing.
yeah, I was getting a phone call, and that's literally my, yeah, my
Your
ringtone.
ringtone.
So yeah, I couldn't
So
resist, dude.
anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I would like to see them use just the standard controller, really. Um, I don't know how well a complicated game like that will fare if we're forced to use the Move controller. And I really hope more games just use the regular PlayStation 4 controller because that's what most players are used to. And all you would really be doing is you'd be taking away the right thumbstick, I guess. Whatever you use to look around with, you'd just be looking around with your head from now on. And they could just convert that to added mobility or what have you. So I think it's cool. I just hope that they don't shoehorn in using the PlayStation Move as the only way to control the game.
Yeah, that is an interesting question. I don't know how they are going to handle that. Like I would love to be able to use my DualShock 4 controller um, with VR. So hopefully that's going to be something I can do. Um, they haven't really shown it off if that is the case. So we shall see how that fares. But what do you think about playing Star Wars Battlefront in VR?
I think it would be really awesome. I mean, to be immersed in the Star Wars universe, and the graphics look really great for that game too. So it would be a nice visual treat.
Yeah. So that's the first game that I wanted to talk about. Now the second thing VR related is not a game at all, but it's a game franchise we're all familiar with. So Assassin's Creed VR experience, based on the film, is coming this year from Fox and Practical Magic. So, what do you think about that?
Uh, I haven't seen a whole lot about this, but to me it just sounds like a tech demo to like show off VR and not really like a true game.
Right. So, it says right in the title there that it's going to be based on the movie. So, you know, um, I guess that's going to be like a proof of concept sort of deal where it's like it puts you in the perspective of the Uncharted, or I'm sorry, the Assassin's Creed character. You'll probably be doing some parkour, jumping from rooftop to rooftop, diving off buildings, that sort of deal. But you'll be doing it in VR. So I think that'll be a cool way to kind of show off what VR can do outside of the video game world. I think that's like their angle there because I think that's what's going to help this thing, move for people that aren't into video games. Like let's get the people that are just really into. Because dude, imagine watching like Blu-ray like Marvel superhero movies like in VR. Like how awesome would that be? You know what I mean? Like just to kind of put you in that world.
Yeah, that would work if, you know, the movies were filmed with like 360-degree cameras, but as far as VR and a home movie experience goes, I mean, I think they've already said that it'll make it like so you're looking at a bigger screen through the PlayStation view or the VR, I meant. So
Yeah. So
that's kind of cool.
it makes it look like you have a 225-inch screen.
Yeah, that'll be pretty neat.
Yeah.
VR is really more built for, being able to really look around in a 3D environment. I think the home movie experience will be kind of neat, but it won't really. I don't think many people will use it really.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I might, but then again, I was somebody that was a big advocate for 3D gaming, like, on television. I'm not talking 3DS here, so let me elaborate on that. But I think I would definitely use it, but again, I understand that I'm a very niche market, and yeah, I can see a lot of people not wanting to strap this thing to their face to watch a 2 3 hour movie. So um, I see what you're saying there. But that's probably enough VR talk for now. We'll discuss it further as it starts approaching this October. So look for that. You have some news, don't you, there, Nate?
I got a couple of bits of news for you this week. Number one, I saw an announcement for a game that I didn't know existed, and basically the announcement was is Alexander, one of the summons, would be making it into a Final Fantasy Dissidia game. So I had to do a little research, And apparently there's a arcade Dissidia game over in Japan. And for those who are unaware, Dissidia is the Super Smash Brothers of Final Fantasy. So you have all the heroes and all the villains all in one fighting game. And I was a huge fan of this game on the PSP. And this kind of goes back to a discussion that we had had about game scores and how they affect our buying purchases and why we use them. Dissidia was one of those games that really did not get very good scores, and I picked it up anyway because I knew it was a game that I wanted to play, and I loved the hell out of it. And there's been some rumors that this new Dissidia game might come to PlayStation 4, which would be absolutely amazing to have a Final Fantasy-esque fighting game with updated next-gen graphics. But from the little bit of gameplay footage that I've seen online, it does look really good. It looks like it plays like the original PSP Dissidia games. And I really hope they decide to port that to the PlayStation 4 and bring it here to America, because I would be totally psyched about that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, man. Like I never realized such a thing existed.
Yeah, there was actually a couple of incarnations of that game on the PSP. I got them both, and they're basically a mix between an RPG and a fighting game. So you have a lot of RPG elements in there, and I thought they did it really well. I thought it was the best RPG slash fighting game I had ever played, and I put a ton of hours into those games. So it definitely has a lot of potential for hitting the RPG market here in the States. Maybe not so much the fighting game market because it's not a normal fighting game, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and you have one more piece of news for us?
And the other piece of news actually is about a true fighting game, and even though Super Smash Bros. DLC content is done with, they are still releasing balance patches to the game, and one just came down recently, which nerfs a few of the characters. Bayonetta is getting a small nerf to a couple of her moves that opens up a delay window at the end of two of her moves. And then Cloud and Corrin, the two new characters that were introduced recently, are getting substantial nerfs, which I really kind of agree with. I mean, Cloud is by far my favorite character in that game now, and he is incredibly overpowered, I thought. Like, I had no problem picking that character right up and just knocking people out left and right. So it'll be interesting to see him balanced a little bit better, because I've kind of felt like I had an unfair advantage every time I played as him, which can be a little bit fun to know that you're just going to go in there and just rock people, but it's nice to have a little bit of a challenge and to have it feel fair, which is very important in a fighting game. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more, man. It's all about balance. If you ain't got the balance, then what do you have? Um,
you got a broken game.
yeah, pretty much. You have Street Fighter Five.
Right.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't think that game suffered from balance. I think it suffered from not being a game. So, but that's it for top news this week, ladies and gentlemen. So, it is time to get into this week's topic, and I wanted to talk about Microsoft has come out and made an announcement saying that it will allow Xbox games to be played against PS4 and PC players. So it's something that gamers have always wanted, a world where we can buy whatever console that we want and play, online games with our friends, and not have to worry about, them not having it for the console that you're on. So what do you think about this announcement?
All right, so here's the thing. I think this is good for gamers, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here and tell you why this is a bad idea. Um, Now, even though everyone wants this I thought would never happen, and it's counterproductive. It's a counterproductive business model that can only hurt both companies if you think about this in the long run, right? The companies, Microsoft and Sony, have really no incentive to do this outside of satisfying their user base, right? Because what games are on systems that are shared between systems, those companies have a chance to win over other console users by making those games not only exclusive, but say, all your friends are playing Destiny or Tom Clancy on Xbox, you really want to be on Xbox, you'd have to buy an Xbox to do that. So that's money in those companies' pockets. With them opening up servers like this, then it basically brings any kind of future console purchases almost to a halt. Because at this point, you got to think most of the major video game players out there have already chosen their consoles and they've settled on them, and we're just building our libraries now.
Shout out
So
to shout out to She's Knees in the chat. He says he wants a cross network. I just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
okay. So yeah, I really think that, I mean, even though this is would be great for us as video game players, it's just it's surprising to see these companies going down this road because it's going to slow their console sales because there will be no incentive for a player to go, hey, I want to play Tom Clancy's The Division with my PlayStation 4 buddies. I better get a PlayStation 4 so that I can get caught up with them. Now that Xbox user will just be like, "Oh, hey, let's play," and that's awesome. It is awesome. Like I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but man, this is very surprising from these two companies.
Now, does it excite you? Because I know it excites me because as it stands right now, you know, I got two buddies at work. They're both on the Xbox One, and I am currently playing The Division. And I won't be able to play with those guys because I don't own an Xbox One. So if this came into fruition and it became a thing, then I wouldn't have to worry about it. We could just all play together and, it not be an issue. So I'm super pumped for it. I just kind of wonder, like they were waiting for Sony to, make an announcement in terms of if they were going to be on board or not, which Sony has come out and said that, they would definitely be willing to sit down and have some discussions with developers. So it seems as though Sony may be on board with this thing. But, I wonder how long it'll take to iterate this, like how much tech is going to have to go behind this. Like, how will my PlayStation talk to a Microsoft console? Like, will they use third party, programs in order to run it? Like, how will we chat with one another? You know what I mean? Like, these are all the questions that I have, and I try to be optimistic about it, but I just wonder how long it'll take to roll something like this out. Is it something they can roll out quickly, or is this something that is going to take 3 years and like there's no reason to be excited right now about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question because I'm kind of led to believe that maybe Microsoft has solved some of the technical issues, and that's why they made the announcement on it. But perhaps it's also like a PR move. Like maybe Microsoft is trying to garner some, more players by saying, "Hey, we're working on this." And even though they don't have like a real solution to it, they're just putting it out there. But we'll see. We'll see if they can pull this off in any reasonable amount of time or at all.
Yeah, really. I think the moral of the story is, don't get your expectations up too high right now. Like, there's no for sure answer as to if this is actually going to be a real thing or not. So for now, let's just take everything we've heard with a grain of salt. It may be coming or it may not be coming. We really have no, you know, indicators right now. Like you said, for somebody like Sony to go ahead and do this, it might mean that it's going to cost them sales. So that might be something that they look at and say, hey, is it really worth it for us to do something like that? So, oh look, my other ringtone. Listen, there's a little bit of
Yeah.
Irish music for you on St. Patty's Day. But anyways, like I was saying, yeah, like if it's gonna cost Sony console sales, that might be what slows this process down. They might need to sit down and look at the numbers and try and forecast how this might cost them money. And if it does cost them money, they're probably not gonna do it. So, you know, we'll see
Yeah,
how.
I don't see any way how it couldn't cost the companies tons of money. But, it's a decision on their part on whether or not they want to satisfy their customer base, and this would be something that everyone would love.
Yeah, absolutely. And me being the hopeless optimistic that I am, I hope this comes out, and I hope it comes out soon because Division is one of those games that'll be perfect to be able to play with a whole lot of players. Now, one more thing that I want to hit on this topic is what will this mean for the Nintendo NX? Because you have to assume that console is going to be a little different than the Xbox One and the PS4. So what will that mean to them? Because right now what's important for the NX to accomplish is to get that third-party support back. But if this becomes a thing, will that alienate that third-party support? What do you think?
It's hard to tell at this point because we really don't know what the NX is going to be capable of. They've already announced that it will probably have some sort of mobility connectivity to it. So maybe they're not even worried about it. Maybe they're pushing mobile as a secondary platform for playing games on the system, in which case it'll be very easy to get people on board. Like, say, the interface for the game works through your cell phone, and anyone can download that app. So maybe they've already solved that issue in another way. I don't know, because yeah, because the other systems would have to work on the app, I guess. I don't know. We just don't know enough about the NX right now to really make any solid speculations, I think.
Yeah. God, I hope this doesn't, bite them in the ass. You know what I mean? Like, they don't need something like this coming to mess up their. It seems like they're heading in the right direction. There's third-party developers that are saying, yeah, we're interested in NX. We're interested in getting our games out on NX. So hopefully this won't be the thing that, kind of slows that process or puts it to a halt. You know what I mean? I guess time will
Yeah,
tell.
definitely.
But to close the show, Nate, do you have anything else that you want to add before we close this thing out?
Yes, please drink responsibly today. Don't go crazy out there.
Yeah, yeah, good point, man. The life you may be saving might be your own. So if you're gonna drink, please don't drive. Get an Uber. Ubers are super cheap, and I heard that a lot of these bars are going to be offering free Uber service to people that are just that incapable of driving. So yeah, please drive carefully. Do have a good time, but just yeah, be responsible about it. And to close out the show, I don't really have anything this week to close out. We'll just go on that note. Happy St. Patty's Day, everybody. Thanks for joining us on episode number 8 of Let's Hash It. We're now on SoundCloud, so head over to soundcloud.com and look for Jay Lewis, and you'll find our Extremely Decent Games logo. You'll find all our podcasts over there, and we appreciate it. We do this every Thursday at around 9 or 10 a.m., sometime in that time frame, depending on what time Nate decides to wake up, or myself, because I've been guilty of sleeping in as well. So, again, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.